Hey, I'm sorry about that. Let's see. Hey, I'm sorry about that. My internet went off. I think we have too many things connected. I'm really not sure. Lately, it's been going out every night around this time. So I do apologize about that. But like I said, uh, I kind of lost my train of thought at that moment. But listen, um, I was talking about the Rockets and how they've been carrying themselves with the fact that, they're allowing players to get the COVID, and that's why Russ had left and James Harden got affected with it as well. So I know James Harden has been out in the clubs and stuff like that, but I don't think that was the necessarily issue before the virus has spread it. I just know that he was forced and rushed out to the court. You know, if you want to comment, go ahead and comment. I had to start a new video because the Wi-Fi went down, and whoever had posted at first, go ahead and I'm gonna answer your questions. I'm gonna, please, I want to share whatever you want to share. You have a platform as much as I do, so whatever you have to say, put it in the comments. We're live right now, but like I said, I wanted to talk about Russ and James. Like I said, they were affected by the COVID, and it was tough seeing that. Nobody wants to be forced back to work, especially from being sick. You know, I could see why Russ wanted out, but I don't think he necessarily went to the best team for him. I don't. I think Washington's a good team, and yes, he was coached by that coach before by Washington. I forgot his name, but the coach didn't necessarily preach winning basketball. He wanted Russ to play his game, and Russ's game is he's playing it right now. It's losing basketball and getting triple doubles. And like I said, this show is not about smashing a player and bashing him. That's not my way. Like I said, it's just how he's been carrying himself. But I do respect Russ for who he is and what he's done. And I think is in his 13th year. He has been so consistent. You know, with the fact that he got injured is very. Oh look, there goes my brother. But I want to get more comments. Go ahead. Don't be shy away. Anthony's about to come on here as well. Like I said, I am speaking about Russ and James. They were affected by the COVID before the bubble. So this was probably about, I want to say in October. No, it was definitely before. I think this was in the summer. So they were forced to go back to the bubble in Florida. Tillman. I don't know if that was Tillman who forced them, but that did rub James and Russ. It rubbed them the wrong way. Russ wanted a trade right away. Right when he found the ability to get out, he took it. And I don't blame him because whatever happened in the summer carried on to December, and it started just you see the results of the outcome of you know it starts with the management. Like I said, the management allows players to engage with the other players. So if there's a test result and there's a player that had got oh, sorry. It's hard to engage with the comments and also focus on the video. That's something one of my friends, Will Umpted, he has struggled with. Think there was a chance Russ would have stayed. No, I don't think there's a chance that Russ would have stayed. I don't think so. I think he was eager that he wanted Ty Lue to be the coach, but Ty Lue, I think he was already under the umbrella of the Clippers, so it was easy for him to, keep the job and become a head coach. He was an assistant coach at the time. Once Doc Rivers got fired, he became the head coach. So I think that was an easy choice by, him living there and just becoming the head coach. And also, they're saying that Ty Lue wanted a lot of money. And something about Tillman, he might be a billionaire, but he's a very cheap guy. And I guess that's how you stay a billionaire, being very, you see millionaires and billionaires, they're wearing New Balance shoes. Well, I think Tillman's that guy, unfortunately, because you own the Rockets, and you can't be a cheap person if you keep talking about winning a championship. But you can't. You got to go over the luxury tax. But there's no way I saw Russ staying here. You know, not even if they traded Harden. I just don't see it. He was very mad at the organization. I don't necessarily think it was James Harden that he was mad at. And I'm about to get Anthony on here, and me and him could feed off each other. And I just want to make sure y'all know that the only way I could get Anthony on here, because he doesn't really have a big platform yet, but he knows what he's talking about. He's very efficient on what he's talking about. I'm always going to listen to this man, what he has to say. We got another question. I know we have the players to win a championship, but do you think we have the right mindset? The right mindset? We have the dogs on this team. I think, you saw the last two games if you haven't seen. Now we're playing with a lot of role players, and the first half versus the Denver Nuggets, James Harden had 28 points, unheard of. There's been times where players got 30 points, but they worked for it and they got it. I've seen it, at before halftime, but this man makes it look so effortless with a double team on him with no real teammates around him. That's the thing. This man could score effortlessly. And this is another man who could score like that, Tracy McGrady. Now, if you weren't listening earlier and you came in, I compared Tracy McGrady and Baron Davis. If they had a baby and they formed, I know that's weird, but if they formed James Harden, yes, they do have the right mindset. Yes, they do have the dogs. Last year they didn't have the dogs. They have players that, James Harden threw the ball at Jae'Sean Tate. I know why, because that man is a dog. And if you see Jae'Sean Tate and how he plays in regular season games, and if he carries that into practice, I'll be pissed off too. I'll throw a damn ball at his ass too. So I'm about to get Anthony in here. I think I gotta call him. I hope he's ready, but he could engage with me and talk about and this is the way I gotta do it. I gotta do it. This is the way I gotta do it. Just Anthony, it's working his way up. I don't know if this light's too bright. I hope y'all can see him. And if he answers, better answer. Hey, what's up, Anthony? So I'm here. I already got the video going. We're live right now. So I don't know if you know what we're talking about. Did you see what we're talking about?
I was a little bit behind. Last time I saw about Tate. How far back was that?
Yeah, that was right now. We're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, we're talking about if these players have the dog inside of them to compete for a championship.
They definitely do, especially just not even the main players you got to worry about. It's more Daniel House is really aggressive at some points. He's up and down, but PJ Tucker and Tate are both really aggressive.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've been controlling the whole show right now, so speak your opinion. Tell me what should I expect tomorrow. I don't know if you noticed, but I got my little buddy wearing a Sacramento Kings hat. So not necessarily going for them, but that's the topic that we're talking about.
Yeah, I'm hoping to see, first of all, just a win.
Yeah.
We need that.
Yeah, and I agree with you.
More off ball for Harden. It's not going to be like the first two games.
Yeah. I mean, we don't need James Harden to go for 44, but do you expect him to go for 44?
Probably the first couple games, because I don't think Wall and Cousins are going to be thrown into 30, 35 minutes a game.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, look, I really want to see what John Wall could do for this team because he's not a great shooter. He's kind of like in the same boat as Russ was, and the fact that he can't shoot. And I've seen a lot of pick and screens with John Wall and Russ, and John Wall and James Harden. So they would go up there, they would do a pick for each other, and then they'll do a screen, and then either one would drive it or shoot it, but it just wasn't working. But then I seen James Harden and Eric Gordon do it, and it looked so fluent. But yes, I understand that they haven't had a long period of time to work together when Eric Gordon has. I mean, I just don't want to see that. You know what I mean? I'd rather see him and Cousins be, setting a pick than going to the basket or rolling to the basket or doing a pop out. Because I love Cousins' game. I saw a lot of mismatches between him and Cousins. Would look for his mismatch. So Cousins would do a pick, then roll out, and then he would get the ball right back to him, and then he'll see if the paint's clear, and he'll look for a mismatch. Do you see Cousins averaging more than 15 points or 15 points?
I see him just run 15 points. He could average more, but he's not going to get his. He's not the main scorer on this team.
Yeah,
he's not going to see as many shots.
Yeah, I mean, but like I said, do you see him starting at any point though? I mean, I feel like before the playoffs, right? At least.
Yeah, definitely for the playoffs. Probably, I think there's some games where he'll start, just not get starting minutes.
Yeah. No, I agree because I think he's on minute restriction, so I don't ever expect him to get big minutes. But Anthony, I was going to tell you, do you see the Rockets? Do you see the Rockets right now? Do you see them like in the middle of a pack team or a superior team?
All healthy.
Yeah.
I see them as a top 5-6 team.
In the whole NBA, not just in the West.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If completely healthy and playing their best.
Yeah. Anthony, I just don't. I want to make it clear that we're going to talk about all NBA basketball. So there's a lot of rumors going on, and there's teams that are throwing names out. And I did mention earlier that that Russ could get traded this year again. Is that a big possibility? Is that just a bunch of he said she said nonsense?
I think that's what Washington would want at one point. Not that they would actually do it.
With Detroit, though.
That's I could see them with the Knicks.
The Knicks? Why?
Yeah, like what the Knicks are doing right now, I don't think I'd stay young.
Yeah. I don't see the Knicks necessarily, just due to the fact that I think the Knicks have the right management in house now. They don't want to go. It's just what I saw so far this offseason. Now I don't necessarily know what their main attraction is. I don't know if they want to go through the draft and get that number 1 draft pick. Do you know the top prospect's name? I know he's
Cade Cunningham.
Yeah, there you go. I know he knows more about college players. He knows more about the college game. That's why I like him on the show. See, if I don't know something, he does. If he doesn't know something, I do. So that's why we feed off each other really well. And that's why I'm using this little iPad to get you on here, because if you weren't worth it, I wouldn't, necessarily do that. But you're worth it, and I love having you on here. So, yeah, Cade Cunningham is his name, and he's the number 1 prospect. So that's why but teams are very careful trading their number 1 draft pick who are bad teams. That's why there is now a real big market for Russ, because I know a lot of teams like the New York Knicks would have loved to got Russ at that time, maybe last year. Let's say last year. But as of right now, Cade Cunningham is the number 1 prize in the NBA draft, and everybody's going to be aiming for him. You know what I expect? I expect a lot of teams to necessarily not win. There's a lot of teams that are going to lose on purpose. What do you call that? What do you call that again?
They're tanking.
Tanking. There you go. That's an ugly word. That's something the Jaguars are doing. It looks awful. But hey, they have so many draft picks, the Jaguars. The Texans need to look out for the Jaguars in the future. So I do see the Jaguars as a threat. Not to start off topic, but back to the regular topic. With all the trade rumors, I expect a lot of teams to make a lot of trades. I expect the Kings, to make a few trades. But as of right now, I would like to talk about, Eric Gordon. And speaking about trades, I know we talked about it, and I want to cover a lot of things. I want to cover the Qs and everything. So do you expect Eric Gordon to stay past the deadline, even if James Harden's on this team?
It just depends on where we are. If we're like a 4 seed and we think we're 1 piece away from being a championship contender,
yeah,
he'd probably be gone.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, we lost Anthony because I hit the wrong button. But we'll get Anthony right back. I'm sorry about that. I was trying to turn your speaker up. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. We'll get you closer to the screen because I want them to hear you. But yeah, I know you're speaking about want them to see your face. But yeah, I do feel like Eric Gordon might stay on this team, but that's very unfortunate long term though. especially if we don't keep James Harden in the. Because if a team comes across like the Kings, I mean, you got to kind of make a trade, right? Buddy Hield's a piece that you can kind of build around.
Definitely.
Texans need Jesus. Oh man, I think they need a little more than Jesus. They need God. But
they need everything.
Yeah, they need everything except for a quarterback. But speaking of Eric Gordon, isn't it kind of how do I phrase this? Isn't it a blessing and not because it's a blessing to keep him, yes, but it's also like hurtful long term just because of his contract. Such a pain to digest.
If we don't trade it now, it's gonna be like a Horford contract where he's washed up and he's still making money.
Even if he plays good.
Yeah. It's just with age, we need to trade him. If we're gonna trade him, it's gotta be soon.
And that's the problem with these players. Once they reach a certain age, they're done for, right? I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, that's just how, and that's the thing about going back to Russ and James Harden getting forced to go back on the court. The organizations do not care as much as they should for the players. Like he just said, Eric Gordon becomes a liability at a certain age, even though they gave him that contract. The organizations know, the organization at that moment, they knew that, hey, they're a winning organization. They could probably trade Eric Gordon. Nobody expects a player to really get hurt or they're valued a job. There's a possibility, but there's always a way out of that. And that's how they look at Eric Gordon, at just another piece. And there's not a lot of organizations who think like that, but I know the Rockets do, because with Daryl Morey looked at every player like they're just another pawn in his little chess game. And do you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%.
Look at the Warriors. They love their players. The owner was devastated once Clay went down again. And, I just never seen that. I know if James Harden went down, Daryl Morey would have a breakdown, Tillman as well. It's just you have to care about every player, And I think that's something that Silas has preached, that he cares about these players, not just, and that's something that John Lucas has showed as well. That's why he's on this coaching staff. And that's the reason why Russ and Harden wanted to vouch for him so hard, is because there's not a lot now, especially nowadays, that these organizations, the coaching staff, they really care about individuals and not just players and men and what they do. You know what I mean? It's hard to see that nowadays. That loyalty just doesn't exist no more. And that's something the Spurs have, the Warriors have, the Lakers. These are the organizations the Rockets need to model themselves on. Do you see another team like that?
I try to think of another team. What were the ones you said?
I said the Kings. I'm sorry, San Antonio. San Antonio, the Warriors, the Lakers, maybe Miami.
I'd say the Raptors.
The Raptors, yeah, of course. Look, it took them forever to get over that hump, but eventually they did with pretty much the same core of guys. And you're right. What team in the NBA can sneak into the finals that no one else is talking about?
It'd be the same team that made the finals last year.
Who's
the Heat? Everybody's talking them down again. I get it. They don't have the best roster, but they're a team that's going to have a chance of sneaking there again.
Yeah. I agree with you. Just with Bam, his potential is so – and you know what? They might make a big trade. If they make a trade for James Harden, I don't see them – I see their window opening up. But the only team I necessarily see them getting stopped by is Brooklyn. But, that the Miami culture is so dog style. I could see them beating the Brooklyn Nets just because they have that dog mentality. Just like when they played against Milwaukee. Milwaukee was the better team on paper, but you can't teach dog, you can't teach hustle, and you can't teach heart. Do you agree with me?
Yeah.
And that's something the Rockets have been missing. And I feel like they got that this year.
That's something Russ had, but Russ just went like his mind went blank during games.
I think Russ went AWOL,
Yeah.
It showed. I want to make this clear, Anthony, that you joined the show. Before you joined the show, I said that I'm not here to damage Russ's name. I'm nobody compared to Russ. He could care less what I think about, but we're not here to talk about athletes and bash their names. But Russ is a dog, but there was just something in the bubble. And I think it had to be just due to the fact the organization rushed them back so fast. He had a careless attitude. He just wanted to win. If he went for himself individually, there was times where individually he was going 1-on-5. We could have had him the other night, Anthony versus Denver. He would have probably would have won that game. I mean,
we need it. That's the stuff you need him for.
Yeah,
he's the only person on the court that can do something.
Yeah, he's a wacky player. Like, let's just put that out there. He takes losing to heart, and that's something that you can't really teach. Anthony, I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna talk about, I want to talk about older players. Is there anybody that James Harden reminds you of, and also does John Wall remind you of? Because when I watched the team and I broke them down, I've never seen an offense like this. You have four guys on the outside 3-point line, and then you got one guy driving. I saw that a kind of similar with Sacramento, but you had guys cutting, not all the time, but you had guys cutting. You had guys on the key. So when De'Aaron Fox, he drove into the basket, he passed it back out. But I feel like the Rockets are just looking for 3-point shooters. Do you still think that philosophy, or was that just a preseason game? And then I'll go to my next topic, talking about older players. Do you think was that just something for the preseason, or do you think that's going to continue, more 3-point shots? Because we didn't see that the last two games because we didn't have the 3-point shooters.
That's the thing. I'd have to see how they were. I mean, what I'm expecting, I'm not expecting that, but it could very well happen if they ran the offense that way. I don't see them doing it though.
Yeah.
I think they know it's not going to win a championship.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We didn't have a lot of our starters out there. I expect Cousins and Wood to be on the floor at the same time. Do you expect that this early or no? I don't think.
Maybe for like 5-6 minute stretches.
Yeah.
At some point, maybe
the end of the game. Maybe the end of the game.
Yeah, probably not end of the half or end of the game.
Yeah, I can see that. Does John Wall remind you of a player who has played on the Rockets, or a player that just he reminds me a little bit of Rod Strickland, a very old player. I don't even know if you know who that is. But does he remind you of a player?
Not an older player. I mean, I'd say the closest is kind of like a Westbrook, but not as crazy. He wants to be an actual playmaker.
He does remind me kind of similar. Also, if you're going to go earlier time, to a poor man's Chris Paul. He's the number one draft pick. I'm not going to, it's just how often he's been injured. And he's probably had much success as Chris Paul in the playoffs. So I'm not going to knock him. I can't say a poor man's Chris Paul, but I could see him in the same category as of right now, at least,
Yeah.
Similar games. I think
he's just missing a jump shot like Chris Paul.
That's true. That's why I say he reminds me a little bit of Rod Strickland. If y'all don't know who Rod Strickland is, y'all can look him up. He's definitely an older player. He plays similar to Kyrie Irving, but Kyrie Irving's a better shooter a little bit than John Wall. But I remember Rod Strickland played with the Rockets, and when we had Tracy, the dude was like 38 years old. I mean, I swear, I felt like we needed to get a damn wheelchair for the dude. It looked so bad. Jeff Van Gundy loved old players. That's why I don't know why Jeff Van Gundy gets so much love in this city, because he loved those old dudes. Like Charles Oakley is a legend, but he was on this team and he was asked to have a big role. And dude was literally had screws in his damn leg running down the court. But yeah, I mean, is there anybody this game that relates to Tracy? I'm sorry, I said Tracy McGrady and Baron Davis. If they had a baby, it would be James Harden. Now, because of that body type Baron Davis had, he had his lower body, his buttocks was big. He would use it to his advantage, backing down players. And that's one thing that I haven't seen James Harden do as much is,
like a post fade or something.
Yeah, and he's good at that. I know he's good at that. I mean, why does he steer away from that? Was it just because of the offense? That's what the offense led to?
I don't know. I still don't see him doing it. I think he's built his offense a certain way, and he's never going to change that.
Yeah.
When he has the ball, at least, I think he's going to start playing some more off ball, and you'll see a lot more screens.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna tell you one thing. One thing I hear a lot of is that Tracy McGrady is better than James Harden, and you might disagree. You might agree. I'm not here to put that out there, but maybe a little bit. Now, I think James Harden is the more dynamic player. Maybe he got, he had a history with injuries. The guy even came out a few years, said he had scoliosis. The guy's like 6'8". How do you have scoliosis? I'm not sure how that works, but as of right now in Rockets history, James Harden is the best player, the second best player in Rockets history.
Definitely.
I mean, hands down. And even if he was on the Orlando Magic, he would have passed Tracy McGrady. So I love T-Mac. I love what he's done for the organization. And, he didn't, Tracy McGrady, he didn't end well with the Rockets either. He was injured. He had his words with the organization and went it out as well. But, Harden right now has carried himself, maybe not in the best way, but he showed up to work and done his thing. I mean, what other guy is going to come overweight and say, hey, I'm going to drop 44 on your ass and get 18 assists? There's not another player in the NBA besides LeBron James, just if he wanted to prove something. And LeBron James has the ability, but he has nothing to prove just to go get those championships. That's one of the reasons I think there was a bubble for LeBron to get a championship. Do you agree or disagree? I mean, be honest. I mean, if you don't agree with me, then, let me know.
That's because I can see both. I don't,
Yeah.
I think it was just more to get the Lakers organization a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And that every player was kind of asking for it. I don't think it was their plan to make a bubble.
Yeah.
It was more that just everybody was going out at them to make something happen.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. What hurt the NBA, and look, I agree with all rights. This is not a political show, but, what hurt the ratings and what steered away from, the other half of the audience from watching a great show in the bubble. You saw so many upsets is the fact that, there was a Black Lives Matter movement at the moment at that time, and I have no opinion about it. I understand, you know what I mean? Both sides, I'm neutral. I'm here to say, oh man, I understand that's, whatever the police officer did, that was outrageous. But I'm also here to say, the NBA, has to remember that, the players have a voice, and also, the organization of the NBA has a name to keep. So I felt like they're handling it better this year in a sense, like, they know that ratings is going to come, but, you can't really do a lot of things without losing a big millions and millions of dollars. They lost so much money, and there were so many games. The Lakers are the cream of the crop in the NBA Finals, and this was the lowest ratings in NBA Finals history. Did you know that, Anthony?
I didn't know it was the lowest.
Yeah. Since the beginning of the NBA Finals has been tracked down. So this has been the lowest ever. But I think they're doing good. You know what keeps the NBA going, Anthony? The drama.
Yeah.
The drama, the offseason drama. I mean, people are trying to get Russ traded again, Anthony.
It's just that anything could happen.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the thing, In football, I don't think they care as much. They're used to seeing players move on. They're used to having a new running back or quarterback. But the NBA, there's so much about it. There's so much drama in the NBA, and that's what keeps fans coming back, no matter if you're for pro Black Lives Matter or not. You know what I mean? You have to be a human and be civilized and look at a bigger picture. All lives matter. Black lives matter. And I do not say, I'm not going to speak on the other side because there's just some things I don't speak about. But lives matter. Black lives matter. And it's very important. And I do want to see the NBA progress where it was in the NFL. I think we're kind of done with that topic, but every player in the NBA and the NFL has a voice, and I respect that, because they're men before they're just athletes. Nobody's a tool. This is America. You have a freedom of speech, and that's one thing, as on this channel, we want to acknowledge, We live in one of the greatest places to ever live, the greatest country, the USA. And I get to be with you. And, we get to share our opinion, on because of that, that freedom of speech. But you go ahead and tell me what you want to talk about now. This is your show as well. And I want to make that clear. This is Anthony Sweet's show as well. You go ahead and speak. I wish I could have you on half the screen, but I gotta put you right here. Look at you. Go ahead, Anthony.
I want to talk about more about Rocket stuff. Would you?
Yeah. No, go ahead. I got off a topic, but there's just some things you like to talk about. And go ahead, brother.
Just Rockets wise, I want to talk about how they're gonna do the starting lineup. Because if they do get it to Kirk Cousins starting, could you see PJ Tucker at the 3? Or do you think they're going to keep an Eric Gordon, PJ or Daniel House?
As of right now, Coach Silas has so many role players. Hey, how you doing, Lewis? They have so many role players. They could do whatever they want, to be honest. But as a starting lineup, I think it's best to put Daniel House out there because Eric Gordon, doesn't need to be starting. He even said, hey, I want a defined role. We talked about that in our last video. Eric Gordon wants a label. He wants to be, he wants to be labeled as a starter or a role player. He doesn't want to be playing that game cat and mouse. He wants to be. And one thing I noticed about Eric Gordon, he's been very talkative in this offseason with Coach Silas. And I think I said this in one of my other videos. He reminds me of have you ever seen Recess, of the guy who always took the notes? Well, that's who Eric Gordon reminds me of. Man, you're too young, brother. Do your homework, man. Go and put on Disney Plus. Oh, and I got Lewis on here, and I want to say Lewis got this for me for my birthday, I think. So another guy who gave me a jersey. Pretty cool, But go ahead. Go ahead. Do you see Daniel House being a starter? He is the most. Look, Daniel House is the most. You can move him out. You can move him around the most. So you could take him out like that and then switch in whatever you want to do. So he's the most flexible guy, if you want to say that.
Yeah, I could definitely see him starting because I think Eric Gordon can kind of run like what Harden does, where he's a point guard at the shooting guard position.
Yeah.
Eric Gordon can run that bench unit.
Yeah.
Maybe have a Christian Wood out there to run pick and rolls with. That's the reason why I could see him off the bench, but he is the better player than Daniel House.
Yeah. And what about Jae'Sean Tate? Do you see him starting one day?
Not with this current roster, no.
Not.
There would have to be a trade for say we get rid of House for a backup center. Maybe he starts.
Mm-hmm.
But with this roster now.
But you said he reminds you of Kenneth Faried. I don't know if they can see your face. I don't know if the light's just too bright. But, yeah, what do y'all think? What do y'all think of LeBron this season? What do we think about LeBron, Lewis? That came out the blue. Where we were talking about the starting lineup. Nah, just kidding. Your opinion is very important. What I think about LeBron? What do you think about LeBron this season, brother?
He's just gonna play smart. He knows he's on the best team right now. He's still the best player in the league, in my opinion. And it's nothing really much,
Mm-hmm. Yes. What I see, Lewis, I see LeBron playing the San Antonio Spurs kind of safety net. What they started originally, they started preserving players so they could have a longer career. And what that means is LeBron now, he could play not 1 more year, but 3 more years. So they did that to Tim Duncan. And did you think Tim Duncan retired a little too early, Anthony? That's one thing I always question, if Tim Duncan retired a little too early, because he did stall out in the playoffs. But the guy was always consistent. Wasn't he bound to have a bad playoff series? And was he just too hard on himself? Was it injuries? What was it, you think?
It was probably health and family. At one point it wasn't worth risking his health. At one point, maybe. That's what I'm probably thinking.
Yeah.
Because he could have been a top player for 2 or 3 more seasons.
Yeah, I think
with his skill set.
Yeah. No, I think he had 1 more season in him, but you can't really say he was on that coaching staff right away. So I don't really know what it was. I thought he had one more good year in him because prior to that, he won a championship just a few years back. So it's kind of hard to just say, "Hey, I'm gonna call it quits," even though you had a long career. And then we have another one from MG, the COVID champ, LeBron. Well, he did win a COVID championship in the final, in the bubble. Anthony, okay, we talked a lot about the Rockets, but what do you see about the coaching staff? That's my biggest question mark. Do you see? I know they have Coach Silas. We talked about him a lot, and we talked about John Lucas in this episode. That he's very has a very great relationship with any player that he comes across. But do you see? I know. Are you familiar with Jeff Hornacek?
Not completely, but I do know who he is. Yes.
He coached the Suns. He coached the Knicks, and he played with the Jazz for a very long time when the Rockets rivaled them. So he was a very, very hated player for the Rockets fan base. But now he's on the Rockets coaching staff. It's very weird. You know, you hate a guy so much. I could speak to any old head, and goddamn, I'm becoming an old head out, Anthony. So you're the young guy on here, but Jeff Hornacek was very hated, you know, but now he's on the staff. So I think he's a defensive-minded coach. But I know they had Pisvillet, I forget his name, the coach, the defensive coach the last few years that changed the Rockets from they were doing a lot of switching and then they lost him. But I know they want to play a lot of man this year. And I think Jeff Hornacek is going to play a big factor in playing that man-to-man defense. That's kind of like an old school defense. And then you'll get a lot of double teams sometimes. But do you like that defense, Anthony?
It's good. It's all about the matchup, to be honest.
Yeah. But you said we have the dogs. We have the guys to do it. I mean, we're deep in rotation. We could afford to get fouls. You know, I just don't want the big guys to get fouled out. You know,
Definitely.
I was kind of worried with the fact that, I said this in one of my older videos, that I was worried about Christian Wood because of his length, and he guards a lot of perimeter guards, and I felt like he was going to get sucked in. But from what I saw these last two games, Anthony, I really saw a disciplined perimeter defender. It's kind of crazy to see that nowadays with such a big body.
Yeah, he doesn't have to give in too much. If they're going to make the shot, they'll make it. It's a tough shot.
Yeah, and he contests every shot, and that's the difference between him and DeMarcus Cousins. Because I see this.
Cousins, horrible perimeter defending.
And they do the same thing. They do the same. They play the same way, but it's just something. I guess he's just bigger. They're more. I see more contested misses by Christian Wood than Cousins. I don't know. Maybe he's not closing out fast enough. Maybe that's something that it does play a factor, but I'm really not sure because you know. I'm not a coach. You know, I could break down the game as much as I can. All I could say is Christian Wood is doing a great job on the perimeter. It looks like Shane Battier. I know you know who that is now. But is there a topic that you want to talk about or break down?
I was actually about to let you know that I have to head out in like 2 minutes.
Oh yeah, no, you're fine. We knew that Anthony was going to leave, so whenever you're ready, we'll let you go.
I'm talking about one more thing before we go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have anything you want to talk? You can bring us on if you want.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
You can bring up something if you want. Is something you want to talk about?
Oh yeah. As of right now, comment. Whatever you feel like you really want to say. Comment. Like, subscribe, and tell me if you like Anthony on this channel. Be honest, my little friend right here. Let me know if you want him on here more. Because, I'm trying to help him grow as well. I twisted his arm to be on my show. He's very busy, but also I want him. He's going to college. What are you going to college for? Real fast?
Data analytics.
Analytics. This is the next Neural Morning. Yeah, but whenever you need to go, let me know.
Yeah, I got like 1 minute, so.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony really wants to be a part of this family. We just need to help him set up his page. Your YouTube, man. Come on, man. We're waiting on you, man. So, we might end it after Anthony gets off. But like I said, anything Rockets, anything that involves the NBA, the NFL, even the Astros or MLB in general, we're going to talk about it. And I hope one day that we have a hockey team. That was something that the Tillman family was dabbling in. They want to get their hands in. So I hope we have a hockey team. I like the Arrows. I know you don't know who they are, but I never got to see them as well. But that was a little when I was a child. But if y'all know the Arrows, give me a thumbs up. But if we get another hockey team, I would love that. That's something I really want to see. But I'll let you go, Anthony. We have 2017 World Champion Astros. All right, Anthony, we'll let you go, man.
All right, see you.
All right, man. Take it easy. Say bye, everybody.
See ya.
Okay. So that's just something I'm messing with Anthony. Anthony was very stubborn at first to not be on this show. Not necessarily stubborn, but very hesitant. Bye, everybody. Anthony's just still new to this. I'm still new to this. I'm trying to grow every day. And the only way I can grow is if you share my content and, you like, subscribe. And I know most of y'all have, but it's very important to me. And like I said, I'm not just here to talk about sports. I talked about on one of my podcasts about an individual coach who struck a child, one of his Pee Wee coaches, one of his Pee Wee students. If y'all haven't seen it or heard it, it's on my podcast and it's also on my YouTube. But, I like to talk about a variety of things. I'm not closed-minded, very understanding. Especially y'all have a voice as well. As long as you're on here, I'm willing to hear what y'all have to say and I'm willing to put it out there. I wish I knew how to do a little more on the computer side, but I need a higher IT guy. Anybody out there, you know who you are. But like I said, I enjoy this. This is my second job, and even though it's my first job, my first love now, but I enjoy this. I might end it there. Like I said, I'm gonna come out with another video tomorrow. I might go live, or I might just recap the game afterwards. But that just shows my dedication. My family might do something tomorrow, but I'm gonna be here for y'all. So me and Anthony will both be here breaking down the game and what we saw and what we need to improve on, and hopefully we get that W. Like I said, Jameis Winston style, eat that W. You know what I mean? Keep bringing them. We got it. We got to finish like a top seed. I'm not necessarily finishing the top seed, but we just need to get into the playoffs and avoid the Lakers as much as possible. I'm really not scared of the Clippers about this this specific Rockets team. Last year, yeah. This year, no, not really. Because I'm gonna tell you why. There's just not that much depth. And I love Lou Williams, but the dude is like 36 years old. There's only so much you could do when you're that age. Like I said, the organizations look at 35-year-olds and certain players and those miles, and they're so predictable now. You know what they're going to do. There's so much homework on you, and there's no more real elevating of your game. And if you can, like a LeBron James is going to pass that age and keep going because he's just such a beast. And one thing you're going to notice about NBA players, you're going to see players play till they're 40. And I'm going to tell you why. The medical field has helped these players progress. Health reasons, eating better, just science, everything plays a factor into the modern day athlete. And, it gets the most miles out of these athletes. But, like I'm going to end it here, and I'm going to tell y'all, just like, comment. This is Kobe Tree, and I'm also speaking for Anthony Sweet. I'm going to end it here. Y'all take care. God bless. And more videos will come out tomorrow, maybe 2 or 3, and I'll end it here. Thank y'all.